the guest house at Graceland, a resort just steps away from the legendary performer's iconic Memphis mansion.
Every year, millions of fans walk through the gates of Graceland, chasing a glimpse of the king of rock and roll. But there's one part of the mansion that remains off-limits. For decades, quiet questions have echoed through the crowds. What's really hidden upstairs? Many believe there's a secret room tucked away on the second floor of Elvis's mansion, untouched since the day he died. Now, nearly 5 decades after Elvis Presley's death, a brand new mystery is shaking the world. Was this hidden room kept secret all these years? And could it finally reveal the truth behind the king's most private life? Let's find out. More than just a mansion. If walls could sing, the ones inside Graceland would never stop. Sitting quietly on nearly 14 acres of land in Memphis, Tennessee, Graceland isn't just a big southern house, it's a symbol, a memory, and a monument to the man who changed music forever, Elvis Presley. People call it the Palace of the King of Rock and Roll, but it's more than just a royal nickname. It's where Elvis laughed, lived, and dreamed, and for many, stepping through its doors feels like stepping into his soul. Every year, over 650,000 people from all over the world travel down Elvis Presley Boulevard to visit Graceland. They don't come just to see furniture or photographs. They come to feel. They come to walk the same hallways Elvis did, to breathe in the atmosphere, and to try to understand the man behind the legend. The house itself is unlike any other. From the moment you step inside, it's clear this wasn't a typical celebrity home. It's bold, it's flashy, and it's full of personality, just like Elvis. There are peacock-stained glass windows between the living room and the music room, white sofas and thick shag carpets. But nothing captures the heart of Graceland more than the Jungle Room. The Jungle Room is an experience. Covered in green shag carpet, not just on the floor but also on the ceiling, with carved wooden furniture and a stone waterfall, it feels like stepping into a tropical dream. Elvis used this room not only to relax but also to record music in his later years. He made several powerful recordings there, turning a playful den into a makeshift studio filled with raw emotion and sound. While most visitors aren't allowed upstairs, that part of the house holds some of the most personal rooms, his master bedroom and bathroom, his closet, and Lisa Marie's childhood room. But Graceland is more than just rooms and decor, it's full of treasures from Elvis's life. In special exhibits around the property, visitors can see some of his most precious belongings, his first driver's license, the first record he ever made, and a signed copy of That's All Right, the song that helped start it all. These simple items tell the story of a poor boy from Tupelo who chased his dreams with everything he had. There's also his legendary car collection. Elvis loved cars, and at Graceland you can see his famous pink Cadillac, a Rolls-Royce, and several other shiny, colorful vehicles. Each car tells a part of his story, moments of joy, success, and a desire to live large. Right next to the mansion are Elvis's 2 personal airplanes, the Lisa Marie and Hound Dog 2. The Lisa Marie is a private jet with gold seatbelts, a bedroom, and even a conference table. It's as flashy and unforgettable as Elvis himself. For fans, walking through the plane feels like soaring through history. But amidst all the brightness and color, there's also a quiet side to Graceland. Behind the house lies the meditation garden. It's a peaceful, still place, shaded by trees and filled with flowers. This is where Elvis was finally laid to rest, along with his mother Gladys, his father Vernon, and his grandmother Minnie Mae. In more recent years, his daughter Lisa Marie and her son Benjamin were also buried there. For many fans, this garden is the most emotional part of the visit. People bring flowers, letters, and tears. They stand in silence, thinking not just of Elvis the star, but Elvis the man. Originally, Elvis was buried elsewhere, but after people tried to break into his grave, his father Vernon made the decision to move him home to Graceland where he could rest in peace, surrounded by love and safety. Even though Graceland officially opened to the public on June 7, 1982, it hasn't been frozen in time. It continues to grow, to change, and to welcome new generations of fans. In 1991, it was added to the National Register of Historic Places, and in 2006 it became a National Historic Landmark, the first rock and roll-related site to earn such an honor. That's how deeply Elvis's legacy is woven into American culture. Graceland is the second most visited home in the United States after White House. People feel a connection that doesn't fade. They don't just come to see where he lived, they come to see how he lived. In the attic, personal items are still stored. Old drapes, Lisa Marie's baby clothes, furnishings from the past. They're like whispers of another time. You can almost imagine Elvis playing music downstairs while his daughter giggles upstairs with her toys. Graceland is filled with memories, music, and meaning. Every room, every object, every wall tells part of a larger story. The rise of a boy from Mississippi who became the king of rock and roll. He gave the world his voice, his energy, and his heart. And even now, decades after his last song, people still feel it. Visitors can explore almost every part of the mansion, but there's one area that remains completely off-limits. So where is this hidden space, and why is no one allowed inside? The secret floor of Graceland. At Graceland, nearly everything feels like a story. The music, the glitter, the jungle room, the gold records, they all speak loudly about the king of rock and roll. But the biggest story, the one that nobody can quite tell, lives behind a door that no one is allowed to open. Graceland's upstairs. Tourists can walk through Elvis Presley's living room, admire his cars, peek into his kitchen, and sit near the meditation garden where he now rests. But there's one place no visitor will ever see, the second floor. And that fact alone gives it a strange kind of power. Since the day Elvis died, that floor, hidden at the top of the staircase near the main hallway, has been off-limits ever since. No cameras, no guided tours, no curious guests. Not even the most influential person has been allowed up there. And that has raised the question, why? The second floor of Graceland was Elvis's private world, the only place in the house where the king of rock and roll wasn't performing, where he could be just a man. It was where he laughed with his daughter, where he read books and watched TV, and where he could rest in peace without the eyes of the world watching. During his life, Elvis treated the second floor like a sanctuary. It was for family and close friends only. If you weren't invited, you didn't go. Not even the staff broke that rule. He kept it private, not out of arrogance, but because he needed a quiet corner of the world to escape the madness of fame. And when Elvis passed away, his family decided to keep that sacred space just as it was, frozen in time. His clothes still hang in the closet, his records are still by his bed. A book lies open on the nightstand. Even the TV sits across from his favorite chair, just where he left it. But this quiet respect has also created something else: mystery. Over the decades, fans have whispered and wondered about what might really be up there. There have been no photos, no descriptions, or even sneak peeks. Some fans say the upstairs holds hidden journals, thoughts Elvis never shared. Others believe it's home to lost recordings or messages from his final days. A few have even stretched their imaginations further, suggesting that what's behind that locked door could somehow change everything we know about the king. But nobody really knows, and maybe that's the point. In a world where everything is photographed, shared, and dissected, the second floor of Graceland remains untouched, a rare place that holds on to its silence. The Presley family could have opened it. They could have sold tours or shown photos, but they didn't. They chose instead to guard it, to let it stay personal and sacred. Why is it guarded so closely? Maybe it's out of love, maybe it's out of respect, or maybe it's because that's the place where Elvis was last seen alive. That hallway, that bedroom, they carry memories too deep, too personal to be part of a tour. His family understood that some places aren't meant for public eyes. They believed that Elvis deserved at least one space in this world that would remain private, untouched, and his alone. That hidden room seems to hold a special kind of power. Visitors often stop at the bottom of the staircase, staring upward, their minds racing. They picture what might be up there. They imagine Elvis himself, smiling just beyond the doorway, singing softly or sitting quietly, lost in thought. Some believe that keeping the upstairs closed helps keep Elvis's spirit alive. It lets people imagine that he might still be up there, peaceful, hidden in his own world, just behind that locked door. The mystery keeps the legend going, leaving fans wondering what if. But that leads to the question so many are afraid to ask: where exactly did Elvis take his final breath? Where music lost a legend. The second floor of Graceland, Elvis Presley's private sanctuary, is where he took his final breath. On the morning of August 16, 1977, something happened upstairs that would leave a lasting mark on music history. Elvis Presley, only 42 years old, was found unconscious in his bathroom, just a short distance from his bed. His girlfriend, Ginger Alden, was the one who discovered him. She cried out for help, and paramedics rushed to the scene, but it was already too late. The king of rock and roll, the icon whose voice, charm, and electric performances captivated the world, was gone. The official cause of death was cardiac arrhythmia, a problem with the heart's rhythm. But not long after, toxicology reports revealed something darker. 14 different substances were found in Elvis's system, including large amounts of codeine and other medications. His death wasn't caused by just one thing. It was the result of years of pressure, pain, and dependence on prescription pills. The news hit the world like a lightning bolt. People couldn't believe it. Fans cried in the streets. Radio stations played his music non-stop. Graceland was flooded with mourners. For a short time, Elvis lay in repose just inside the front foyer of the mansion, in a 900-pound copper-lined casket. Over 3,500 grieving fans passed by to say goodbye. Flowers filled the yard. The air was heavy, not just with sorrow, but with shock. 2 days later, on August 18th, a private funeral was held inside Graceland. Just 200 people attended, close friends and family. The casket was placed in front of the stained glass doors leading to the music room, where sunlight filtered through soft colors. The man who had given so much joy to the world was now gone, and everyone in that room felt the weight of it. But while the world searched for answers, while tabloids printed wild theories and reporters asked hard questions, the Presley family made a quiet choice: to close the upstairs forever. They didn't clean it out. They didn't rearrange things. Not a drawer was opened. Not a shirt was folded. Not a single item was moved. Elvis's bed remained made. His TV still sat across from his favorite chair. His books, half read, were untouched. Today, tourists still come by the thousands. They walk through the rooms downstairs, the living room, the dining room, the kitchen, and the famous jungle room. They admire his gold records, peek inside his planes, and leave flowers at his grave in the meditation garden. But when they get to the base of the staircase, they stop. There's a barrier at the bottom, and behind it, silence. That silence has led to whispers. Some even create wild theories about what might be hidden up there, but the truth is probably much simpler and more powerful. The upstairs is not locked because of secrets. It's locked because of sacredness. A room full of ghosts that the Presley family chose to keep safe, just for him. After Elvis died, his Aunt Delta, who had lived at Graceland at his invitation, stayed in the house until her own death in 1993. After that, the home became more of a public space, but that one rule remained unchanged: no one goes upstairs. Closed since the morning of August 16, 1977, the upper floor of Graceland remains one of the most intriguing mysteries in American pop culture. Only a select few have ever been allowed upstairs, so who are they? The rare few. As Elvis's daughter and the heir to Graceland, Lisa Marie had full access to every part of the mansion, including the upstairs. She spent her early childhood running through those rooms, sitting beside her dad in his bedroom, and curling up in familiar corners of the house. Lisa once said the second floor was sacred and would never be open to the public. To her, it was a private, frozen-in-time space where the spirit of her father lived. Elvis's ex-wife Priscilla also visited the second floor after his passing. Though their marriage ended years before his death, they remained close. Priscilla helped manage the estate and played a major role in turning Graceland into a public landmark. But upstairs? That stayed off limits. Even Priscilla has rarely spoken about it, perhaps because the memories are too personal to share. The curator of Graceland, whose job is to preserve Elvis's belongings and protect the integrity of the estate, has also been allowed upstairs, but rarely, and only for maintenance or preservation purposes. Even this access is extremely limited and carefully handled with respect. A few of Elvis's closest friends have reportedly been inside since his death. Jerry Schilling, a lifelong friend and part of Elvis's inner circle, is one of them. So is Linda Thompson, Elvis's former girlfriend and confidant during the early 1970s. These visits weren't public events. They were quiet, personal, and carried emotional weight. One of the most unusual and most talked about visitors to the second floor was actor Nicolas Cage. A well-known Elvis fan, Cage was briefly married to Lisa Marie in the early 2000s. During that time, he was granted a rare and private look upstairs. He later described the experience as surreal, haunting, and deeply emotional. But when asked to describe what he saw, he said nothing. Not in interviews, not in memoirs, not even in passing. His silence has only deepened the mystery. If it was just a normal bedroom, why keep it secret? In one lesser-known incident, federal investigators were reportedly granted access to the second floor during a legal investigation involving the estate. Details are scarce, and the visit remains unconfirmed by officials, but the story has been whispered about for years. If true, it marks one of the only times a government agency entered the secret floor. And then there's a modern mystery that has fans buzzing: Chewy Thompson. Chewy isn't Presley. He's not even famous. He's a young social media influencer with no public ties to the family. But according to footage and online reports, during a routine Graceland tour, Chewy was pulled aside by a masked man in staff clothing. Quietly and quickly, he was led away from the tour group and escorted upstairs to the sacred floor. He later described the air as heavy. The rooms were dimly lit. Curtains were pulled aside with eerie care. He claims he saw something but won't say what. He refuses to talk about it online. He's turned down interview requests. And that silence? It made the whole story even more mysterious. Was it an accident? A trap? Could Chewy somehow be connected to Elvis in a way no one ever realized? Or was it all just one piece of a larger puzzle? The fact that Linda Thompson was Elvis's girlfriend during the 1970s only added more fuel to the speculation. But no one knows exactly what the answer is. Rumors and speculation. Chewy Thompson never expected to be caught up in a mystery, but everything changed after his visit to Graceland, which sparked a wave of online rumors. That day, he wasn't loud or trying to draw attention. He simply stood quietly near the velvet rope that blocked access to the staircase. A staff member leaned in and softly said something. Witnesses claimed they heard the words, "It's time." Then, without any fuss, Chewy was allowed past the barrier and slowly walked up the stairs. The nearby visitors were stunned. Some reached for their phones to snap pictures, but another staff member quickly stopped them. By the time Chewy came back down, the whispers had already started. Someone posted on social media. Then a YouTube video popped up, then another. The videos asked the same thing. Who is Chewy Thompson? And why was he allowed upstairs? That's when the theories started. And the first one was the most thrilling. Some believed Chewy was Elvis Presley's grandson. According to this idea, Elvis may have had a child outside of his marriage, and that child later had a son, Chewy. It wasn't a brand new claim. For years, people had stepped forward saying they were connected to Elvis by blood. Most of those stories were brushed aside or forgotten, but with Chewy, things felt different. He didn't seek fame. He didn't say anything to the press. He didn't even post about the visit. That silence made people even more curious. Some said his quietness was a clue. He doesn't want attention because he doesn't need it, one commenter wrote. He already knows the truth. Another theory went even further. Some believed Chewy was not visiting Elvis's old room, but visiting Elvis himself. They claimed Elvis never actually died in 1977. Instead, he faked his death and lived in hiding upstairs at Graceland, where no one ever goes. The theory had been around for years, but Chewy's visit gave it new life. According to these believers, Elvis was alive and well, and Chewy was family, visiting his grandfather in secret. Of course, many people rolled their eyes at this idea, but others pointed out something strange. Multiple visitors over the years had claimed they heard footsteps, laughter, and talking from the second floor. One woman swore she heard a guitar. Another said she heard two men laughing like old friends. Security cameras showed nothing, and when staff were asked, they gave no answers. After Chewy's visit, more tourists came forward with stories. A man said he heard soft singing upstairs. A child said a voice told her to keep the secret. One couple claimed they saw shadows moving behind the upstairs curtains. One employee quit shortly after the incident. He didn't give a reason. Another staff member was seen crying near the meditation garden. Something, it seemed, had changed. When news channels reached out to Graceland, they were told the upstairs remained private out of respect for the Presley family. But they didn't say why Chewy had been allowed up there. They didn't deny it either. And then came the photos. A grainy image appeared online. It looked like Chewy inside a hallway that matched the upstairs floor plan. He was standing beside a tall man in a robe. The photo was dark and blurry, but people zoomed in, drew circles, and made comparisons. Some said the man looked a lot like Elvis, only older. Another wave of rumors started. Was Chewy the result of a hidden relationship Elvis had long ago? People pulled out timelines, matched old girlfriends with family trees. Some even claimed to have seen Chewy's DNA results posted briefly online before disappearing. Others went deeper. They said there had been a plan all along to protect Elvis's legacy by keeping some truths hidden. Maybe there were heirs no one knew about. Maybe Chewy had grown up in secret, kept away from the media until the right moment. But Chewy didn't say a word. Some people believed the reason the second floor stayed private had nothing to do with mystery or secrets. They said it was just about respect, honoring Elvis's memory and keeping his space untouched. But even those people admitted something was odd about Chewy's visit. Why now? Why him? Why so quiet? No one knows for sure who Chewy Thompson really is, but since his visit, the second floor of Graceland has taken on new meaning. It's no longer just a sealed room. It's a symbol of questions no one wants to answer, and stories that may be too powerful to tell. Whether Chewy is a grandson, a messenger, or just a lucky visitor, one thing is clear. His quiet steps upstairs shook something loose. Until someone speaks, we're left with whispers, footsteps, and the mystery of Graceland's second floor. To truly grasp why the upstairs of Graceland holds such power and mystery, you must first understand the man behind the legend. Because this isn't just about a room, it's about the soul who once lived there. So who really was Elvis Presley? The man, the myth. Elvis Presley wasn't just a singer, he was a legend. They called him the king of rock and roll, and millions of people loved him. When he walked into a room, everyone noticed. When he sang, hearts melted. When he danced, people screamed with excitement. But behind the fame, behind the spotlight, was a man who wanted something simple: peace. Elvis lived for music. He gave his fans everything when he was on stage. He smiled, he moved, he sang his heart out. But when the lights turned off and the music stopped, Elvis didn't want more attention. He wanted to disappear for a while at least. And there was only one place where he could truly be himself. That place was upstairs at Graceland. Elvis didn't build Graceland just to show off. He bought it so he could be close to his family and feel safe. And upstairs was the heart of it all. It wasn't fancy for guests, it wasn't made for parties, it was made for him. His bedroom was warm and quiet. The walls were painted dark blue. The bed was large and made just the way he liked it. His favorite music was always nearby, along with stacks of books. Elvis loved reading. He read about religion, spirituality, philosophy, and even strange mysteries. Sometimes he stayed up all night just reading and thinking. Right beside his bed was a little button. If he pressed it, someone downstairs in the kitchen would know he wanted something. Maybe a soda, maybe a peanut butter and banana sandwich, his favorite. No matter what time it was, day or night, someone would bring it to him. Elvis wasn't like most people. He slept during the day and stayed awake all night. He felt more at peace when the world was quiet. When everyone else was sleeping, Elvis was watching TV, playing music, or walking through the upstairs hallway. He would often sit with his guitar in the early hours of the morning, not to record a song, just for himself. He played what he felt, sometimes singing softly into the darkness. These were his private moments, no fans, no pressure, just Elvis, the man, doing what he loved most. Sometimes close friends or family members would come upstairs, but not often. Elvis made it clear this space was private. Even his staff respected that. No one entered without being asked. It was his place to think, to rest, and to escape. To understand why Elvis needed that space, you have to look at where he came from. Elvis was born in a tiny house in Tupelo, Mississippi in 1935. His family was poor, they didn't have much, but they had each other. He moved to Memphis, Tennessee when he was 13. That's where his music journey began. Elvis started recording music in 1954 at Sun Records. He worked with producer Sam Phillips, who wanted to take the sound of black artists and introduce it to a wider audience. Elvis didn't just sing, he felt the music. With his guitar, his voice, and his passion, he created a new kind of sound. People called it rockabilly, a mix of country and rhythm and blues. He teamed up with musicians like Scotty Moore, Bill Black, and later DJ Fontana. In 1956, he released Heartbreak Hotel. It shot to #1. Suddenly the world knew his name. Elvis wasn't just a musician, he became a movie star too. His first film was Love Me Tender, and fans loved seeing him on the big screen. Over the years, he made over 30 movies, including Jailhouse Rock, Blue Hawaii, and Viva Las Vegas. Some people criticized the films, but fans kept watching. In 1958, Elvis joined the U.S. Army. He paused his career and served like any other soldier. When he came back, he released more music and continued acting. But behind all the success, he missed the stage. He wanted to perform again. In 1968, Elvis made a big comeback with a TV special simply called Elvis. Wearing black leather, he sang with power and emotion. People knew the king was back. That show led to a long period of Las Vegas concerts, big tours, and even a worldwide broadcast called Aloha from Hawaii in 1973, the first concert to be shown live around the world. As famous as he was, Elvis often felt alone. He couldn't go outside like a normal person. He was followed everywhere. Cameras flashed in his face, fans screamed his name. Inside, he carried a deep sadness, a longing for something more peaceful. That's why the upstairs at Graceland mattered so much. It was the only place where he could drop the mask. There, he didn't have to be Elvis Presley, the superstar. He could just be Elvis Aaron Presley, the boy from Tupelo, the man who loved his mother, who prayed often, and who still searched for meaning in life. He struggled with health problems later on. He took too many pills and ate too much junk food. The pressure, the fame, and years of touring wore him down until the day he died. Elvis may be gone, but his legacy lives forever. He sold over 500 million records, won 3 Grammy Awards, and received the Presidential Medal of Freedom after his death. He changed music. He broke rules. He connected people of all colors and backgrounds with his sound. More than anything, Elvis showed the world that even someone from a small town could become something big. Yet even he, the king, needed a place to rest his crown. Graceland is more than just a house, it was a king's palace. If you enjoyed this video, like and subscribe, and also click the next video shown on your screen.